السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله رب العالمين. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله، صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين وتابعيهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters, today is Tuesday, and it should be the second of the month of Dhul Qa'dah, could be the first two, 1441. And today, this matches the 23rd of June 2020. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, it looks like the government of Ontario is going on with easing up on the restrictions, and starting tomorrow the malls will be open. So we expect more restrictions to be removed, or it's not as tight as it used to be before. However, all of this, they're still advising to continue to observe the social distancing, the precautions and the measures, washing the hands, and the other restrictions. So let's stay on guard, inshallah ta'ala. Today we continue with the excellent deeds and the excellence of the excellent good deeds, Fada'ilul A'mal. Last one was love for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Today we start with Ad-dalalatu ala al-khair, guiding to that which is good. And it's a famous narration from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, famous statement from him, Sahih Muslim. Man dalla ala khair, the one who guides to goodness, فَلَهُ مِثْلُ أَجْرِ فَاعِلِهِ. He will have the same reward as the one who is doing it. So if you guide someone to some good deed, you get the same reward as theirs. That is without their reward being diminished, being decreased at all. So if you tell someone that there is a masjid that is being established, they collected this much money, and they are short of this much, 100,000, 200,000, a million, and they're asking that people should donate 1,000 people, $1,000. That's 1 million, mashallah. You don't have that money, but you told someone else. So that person, he went and he donated $1,000 because you told him about it. You guided him to it. He didn't know about it. You directed him towards that by telling him. You get the same reward as his, as if you donated $1,000. Maybe someone will donate 100,000, or someone will donate 500 or a million even. And maybe you don't expect to see this $1 million at all in your life. Yet, when you move from this vanishing world, this ad-dunya al-faniya, al-dhillu zail, the shade that just fades away. That's what life is. Ad-dunya dhillun zail. It is a shade that, you know how shade is. The very early morning, you find your shade. You look at your shade and the sun is so big, so huge, so large. 3, 4, 5 times of your size. Then it starts shrinking, shrinking, shrinking. Around Az-Zawal, close to the time of Dhuhr, this gets the shortest, just before Zawal, before the time of Dhuhr. the size of your shade becomes the shortest, the smallest it could be. If you are at the equator, then your shade is just zero, exactly zero, nothing, no shade. But because here we are in the north, you still have some shade. Once that shade starts growing up again, that is the time of dhuhr is in. That is zawal, the time of dhuhr. So you see how this shade is so big, then it fades away and becomes shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. That's how ad-dunya is. Ad-dunya dhillun za'il. It's a shade that is about to vanish and fade away and go away. After this dunya, you go in the akhirah, you find the reward of $1,000,000 or $1,000, or, and mind you, someone might donate $1, and that $1 is worth in terms of reward much more than $1,000. سبق درهم ألف درهم. 1 dirham might beat and outrace 1,000 dirham. Because you don't know, that person who donated $1, maybe all he has is $2. So he donated half of his wealth. The other one, he donated 1,000. Actually, he has hundreds of thousands. So compared to his wealth, he didn't pay much. And so on and so forth. So, يعني, Eid al-Adha is coming, and some people somehow they get lazy to do the udhiyah. They don't want to offer the sacrifice. Go to the uh, slaughterhouse, wait there in line, wait until slaughtering. Then they cannot give you the animal, they have to hang it in the cooler. If they go by the rules, of course. And that's what usually they do. They won't give you the meat, and you shouldn't take it. So then you have to go back at the end of the day or the next day, because it has to stay a certain time in the cooler. Then you can get it and get it cut. So some people they get lazy on that. Some of them don't actually consume much of lamb, so they kind of become uninterested in doing it. So if you encourage them to offer a sacrifice, either to do it here, you tell them, okay, I will reserve on your behalf. Go with me. Oh, you don't want to go? It's okay. I will go on your behalf. I will do it on your behalf. Right? But I don't eat this meat. Okay, you can donate it to the poor. There are people who are needy here. They will accept the meat. And there are places that actually collects that. Welfare centers, Muslim places, they collect udhiyah meat and they give it to have a place to preserve it, and then people come who are needy and they take that halal meat, the qurbani, the udhiyah. So that's that. You encourage him, he goes along with you to do it. Or even, okay, he will just donate the money, and a sacrifice will be bought and it will be slaughtered somewhere in a Muslim country, or a place where Muslims are in need, Muslim or a non-Muslim country, and it will be offered on your behalf, and then the meat will be distributed to the needy. الدال على الخير كفاعله. Even if you don't have the money to offer a sacrifice, you don't have it, you can't offer a sacrifice. You encouraged one person, two people, you arranged a project that you will offer the sacrifices on their behalf somewhere else. So you don't have the money to buy it. It's like here, it's maybe $300, $350, even maybe more sometimes. You might not have that kind of money to offer a sacrifice on your own, but you arrange for other people to do it. And you get the reward of offering 10 sacrifices. Mind you, you did not offer a sacrifice. You did not offer a sacrifice. You get the reward of being involved in that, the reward of the sacrifice. Sometimes we I found that some people, I don't know why, they have an issue, they have a problem digesting this. When you tell them قُلْ هُوَ اللَّهُ أَحَدٌ, if you recite it once, it's as if you recited one third of the Quran, and it doesn't click. It's like how we're talking about the reward of it is like that. It's not like the same exactly from every aspect that you recited one third of the Quran. So if you recited it 3 times, then it's as if you recited the whole Quran. It's as if you get the reward of that out of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being kind and merciful. This doesn't say don't recite the Quran, just read Qul Huwallahu Ahad. Nobody is saying that. But you recite the Quran, and along with that, you recite a lot of Qul Huwallahu Ahad. And many people look down upon that. And Rasulullah SAW was told about a man that he spent all night long reciting Qul Huwallahu Ahad. And he said, by Allah, it's worth one third of the Quran. So this is the case. You guide someone to something good, you get the same reward. You teach him some dhikr, subhanallah wa bihamdih, 100 times. You send it to him, and they get that piece of information, and because of that they start doing it. الدلالة على الخير, guiding to goodness, you get the same reward. And subhanallah al-azim, you tell someone there is this masjid up near you, why don't you go pray there? He might be living in that vicinity for years and he doesn't even know that that masjid exists just next door to him. There are people who are like that. So because of that, he starts going, and maybe he gets hooked on. Sometimes some people are lost, are lost, are lost. He goes one time, he finds his heart there. He finds the light of Iman. He finds the light of faith in the masjid. Because you guided him to it, now he starts not attending the Jama'ah, he starts attending the Jumu'ah. He starts attending the Jumu'ah, the Friday prayers. So, you get the same, a lot of rewards, just if we can get ourselves busy with that and stop, wasting our time and other stuff. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us the blessings of understanding and the blessings of tawfiq. Next is as-satru ala al-muslim, one of the most excellent good deeds, to cover and to conceal the faults or the mistakes of a Muslim. And in the Sahih of Imam Muslim is a famous hadith, we mentioned it yesterday. وَمَنْ سَتَرَ مُسْلِمًا سَتَرَهُ اللَّهُ فِي الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. The one who covered and concealed the faults of a Muslim, Allah will cover him. Allah will cover his faults and mistakes in this worldly life and in the next life. In this life, nobody will know you committed that mistake. And in the next life also, you will not be exposed. Because on the day of judgment, يَوْمَ تُبْلَى السَّرَائِرُ, the secrets will become open in there. And some people will be very shamefully and disgracefully exposed. Those who have an agreement with someone and then they betray, they deceive. ينصب لكل غادر لواء يوم القيامة. On the day of judgment, every betrayer, every person who is deceptive, who cheated every cheater, he will have a banner, a flag that is set up and made to be erect. And in the authentic hadith, it says, عند إسته والعياذ بالله, at his behind, that flag. What's on the flag? هذه غدرة فلان ابن فلان. This is the instance of betrayal. This is the incident of cheating of so and so, the son of so and so. وَلَيَذْ billah. That's how a person will be exposed on the day of judgment. Some people don't fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but then they are afraid of the people. يستخفون من الناس ولا يستخفون من الله وهو معهم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that they hide themselves from the people, but they never hide themselves from Allah. وهو معهم, while He is with them. إذ يبيتون ما لا يرضى من القول, when they conspire to hide. يبيتون, they secretly hide and prepare that which He is not pleased with of the statements. So in secrecy, they speak things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not pleased with. But in front of the people, no way, they don't do that. Those people, if they're not exposed here in this life, many of them do get exposed in this life. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for many people, the wrongdoers and the tyrants, the oppressive ones. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to expose them and to heal the hearts of the believers who are oppressed, to heal their hearts by seeing those people being disgraced and exposed, lowered, and humiliated. But we know for sure that if this didn't happen in this world, then it will happen in the next life. It will happen in the next life. And many of them are exposed, even if they are still in power. They're still in power, but they are exposed by their own words and their own tongues. He shows up and he says, someone who is in leadership, why does he have to lie to his people? One of the most people who are tormented is Malikun Kadhab, a king who is a liar. When you are a king, you are the top. The top. Why would you lie? People lie sometimes, and you find this with children, so they maybe do something, they don't want to get caught, they don't want to be punished. Oh, they lie. Why? They are afraid. They're afraid of their those who are in charge of them. But when someone is on top, there is no one on top of him. He is the top leader, and he's a liar. And in your face, he shows up to his people and he lies. And he says, Wallahi, I never lied. And then they put this, I never lied, and they put a lie that everybody knows he lied. And they put him saying, I never said this, then they put him that he said it. I never did this, and then they put the clip that he did it. Right? This is an exposition in this worldly life. And even if they're not humiliated and taken off of the power in this world, then in the next life, the humiliation will come. So this exposition is something that is very bad. Nobody wants that to happen to him. And if you don't want that to happen to you, then hold off from the believers. Do not expose the sins and the mistakes of the believers. Do not expose the sins and the mistakes of the believers. You should cover them and conceal them. If you do that, you cover and conceal, then your reward is covering and concealing your mistakes by Allah, the Lord of the worlds, subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, sittir. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves to cover the mistakes and the sins of the people. And usually those who get exposed, usually it's not the first time they committed the mistakes. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is Halim. He is patiently forbearing. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He doesn't rush to punish. Usually those who are exposed, they are the ones who are intent on doing the sins and intent on continuing to do them, and they continue to do and do until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala expose them. Maybe sometimes the exposition is good for some people, that it is better for them. Allah wants good for them, so that they will take a lesson and they might repent in this world, and that will be better for them. But in general, those who get exposed, usually, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ, seek refuge with Allah from that. Usually they are the people who are, as I mentioned here, the munafiqun. They conspire, they secretly plan, and like that. They show other than what they have within them, وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. So the principle is to cover the faults and the mistakes of the believers. Cover the mistakes of the believers, not to cover and conceal the mistakes and the oppressions of the oppressive, the tyranny of the tyrannical people. Right? That's not what is meant here. What is meant is those believers in general. You try to cover their faults as much as possible, because exposing the sins, actually sometimes it leads to people belittling the sin, and therefore it gets more widespread. Whereas if mistakes of the people are kept under secrecy, under closed doors, then that has a better effect on others. And many times, if you are a true believer, you see something wrong from someone, wallahi, you would wish you never saw it. You would wish you never knew about it, so that your heart is as clean as it can be, because you don't know evil and you don't know the evildoers. You don't know anything about that. Because when you get to know much evil and how evil the people are, you might turn yourself into someone who's evil, or you might turn into someone who is very 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 much suspicious of everybody, very much suspicious of all. And that's not a good feeling at all, and it's not allowed even. Right? It's not allowed to have this general sense suspicion about everybody. To have some of that, maybe you're excused, but then to live a life where everyone is bad, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, that's not. And this is because someone is not is not trying to cover the faults and the mistakes. And there is a hadith from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam warning us against pursuing the mistakes of people. And he says, يا معشر من آمن بلسانه ولم يدخل الإيمان قلبه. O you, the people whom Iman is only on their tongues and Iman did not go inside of their hearts. Do not follow the mistakes of the Muslims. لا تغتابوا المسلمين ولا تتبعوا عوراتهم. For the one who pursues, the one who follows, tries to expose the mistake of his brother, تتبع الله عورته. Then Allah will pursue his shameful mistake, his disgraceful mistake, and he will فضحه, he will expose him even in the midst of their own homes. والعياذ بالله. I'm sure you have seen some of those, as I have seen them. I saw that happening to people. Subhanallah. نسأل الله عز وجل for us and for everybody العافية والسلامة for all Muslims. Even those who are sinful, we want them to retract and repent. But this is what happened to many people who got busy with pursuing the mistakes of others. Even sometimes, not sometimes, many times, the shaitan tries to make this under the protection of the religion. You are being very protective of the deen. So you are pursuing the mistake of this one, the mistake of that one, the mistake of that one, the mistake of that one. And then every time you expand, you expand, you expand. Some people, believe it or not, but it's a reality. They have a file. They have a file for so and so, so and so. Even files for not just the general folks, files for the shuyukh, like a file for Sheikh Fulan. On this day he made this, in this day he said that. Much of that sometimes is just lies, yani, or things taken out of context. Most of the time it's like that. Because the shaitan and his deputies from humans, they want to make that look like a real mistake. They don't want it to look like something excused. So they will have to take it out of its context, right? So they will have a file, a dossier for everyone. Fulan ibn Fulan. On that day he did this. On that day he did that. And you might find someone who has thousands of lectures and books that goes in the thousands of pages that he authored. All of that in the way of Allah and inviting to Allah. And if you found someone like that, who is mukthir, who does a lot, then it is only normal that he will be making mistakes here and there because he's doing a lot of work. He might even do a mistake and forgot that he was mistaken. Right? So we have seen those who got exposed. Allah knows best. We don't know yani, the ghaib. But much of that, Allah knows best, is from this hadith. That he pursued the mistakes of others so much, wanting to expose them so much, instead of as-satr ala al-muslimin, instead of concealing and covering the faults of Muslims, right? So in the end, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala got him exposed. وَالْعِيَذُ بِاللَّهِ. Some of them, they got exposed after they got into an old age. وَالْعِيَذُ بِاللَّهِ. وَإِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ. Next is الرد عن عرض المسلم, which is close to the other one. It just has more, and that is to defend the honor of a Muslim. To defend the honor of the Muslim. And in the Sunan of At-Tirmidhi, that the one who does that, من رد عن عرض أخيه, the one who defends the honor of his Muslim brother, رد الله وجهه عن النار يوم القيامة. Allah will push away, defend his face from the fire on the day of judgment. So someone speaks against another Muslim in your presence, and then you defend that Muslim. You defend him. You defend him. And you protect his honor. And you say, don't say that about him. And this is throughout history. It happened in the time of Sahaba, and it happened after that. And the believers continue to do that for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and for the sake of protecting other Muslims. And this, you can see that this covering the faults of a believer, defending the honor of a believer, this stems from what was mentioned before, al-hubbu fillah, loving the Muslim, loving the believer for the sake of Allah. So if you truly love him for the sake of Allah, this naturally, like this is a natural result, a natural consequence of loving someone for the sake of Allah, that you will cover and conceal his mistake, and that you will protect his honor and defend him in places where he is attacked, or where he is defamed, or where in this what they call vulture culture type of surrounding, those ferocious people who know nothing but, attack and attack and attack, bite and bite, and you stand up. Some people get scared, because when you defend someone, you might be attacked yourself. So some people, they will say, you know what, I am not with this side, I'm not with that side, let me just, that's not the this neutrality. When you see injustice happening, this is participating in injustice. This is participating in oppression. Don't try to relieve yourself by saying, oh, I'm not taking any sides. What do you mean you're not taking any sides? This side is the side of oppression. This side is the side of the oppressed. Oppressor, oppressed. You cannot be neutral here. You have to stand with the oppressed against the oppressor. And Rasulullah SAW, he told us that this actually is an act of support even to the oppressor himself. When you stop him from oppressing others, this is for his own sake. But if you just pass by, you say, oh, I'm neutral. Neutrality could be positive, and it could be حياد الإيجابي, يعني positive neutrality, right? When you're not taking sides, so that you can mend between the people, so that they feel good that you interfere and serve as someone who is a mediator, for instance. That's the positive neutrality. But then someone is right, someone is wrong, you have to say this is right and that is wrong. You cannot be neutral. يعني as they say, لا لون ولا طعم ولا رائحة. Neutral, huh? Neutral. No color, no taste, and no scent. Is neutral with everybody, right? This neutrality is not the positive one. This is the negative one. This is oppression, actually. You cannot be neutral when just when oppression and injustice is being committed. Next is kadhmul ghayz, to suppress your anger and to swallow it. من كظم غيظا وهو يستطيع أن ينفذه, the one who suppresses his anger while he can execute it, he is able to execute it. دعاه الله يوم القيامة على رؤوس الخلائق. Allah will call him on the day of judgment in front of all of the creation, حتى يخيره من أي الحور شاء, so that he will give him the choice to select from any of the hur, the women of paradise, whichever one he wants, he can take. Narrated by Abu Dawood and Ibn Majah. كظم الغيظ, anger, يعني غضب, anger, غضب is يعني a bad quality, and it a bad quality in general. يعني it has to be contained, it has to be controlled. If it is not controlled and contained, it becomes very bad. It leads to many evil things. If it has the right amount, then it is good. And we did speak about that في حسن الخلق. Al-Imam Ibn al-Qayyim explained that beautifully, that there are qualities that Allah created in us. They are created for a reason, for a wisdom, right? So anger, if imagine someone comes, you just sitting, didn't do anything, he comes and hits you, and he goes. If you're a normal person, you will get angry. Why was I hit? What did I do? If you don't care, you were hit or you were honored, there is something serious. There is, it's either a sickness or someone has to train himself, and so on and so forth. You see haram happening, you see wrong things happening, you have to hate that. That's a ghadab. That's where it is good. But it becomes not good, and this is the majority of the cases. That's why I said it's bad. And it is a time when you get angry, as Imam al-Qayyim told us before, al-ghadab, wal-ghafla, wal-shahwa, the three things where the shaitan enters. When you are angry, when you are heedless and unaware, negligent, and when you have a desire, that's when he he has the opportunity to interfere and make you deviate. وَلِيَذُ بِاللَّهِ. So al-ghadab, anger, right? When it is kept inside, turns into غيظ, غيظ, rage that is boiling inside. غيظ, right? And this غيظ, if it's not executed, someone did not get his revenge, then he will continue to hope for revenge, and that revenge might be expanded and extended to a point that he will oppress, he will turn into an oppressor. So the one who is able to suppress, the one who is كظم الغيظ, this, because this needs training. كظم الغيظ, this suppression of anger, suppressing your anger, controlling it needs training, anger management. You train yourself to it. So if you train yourself to that, and you are able to swallow the anger, then this is the reward for it. There is also, next is al-afu wa pardoning and humbleness. And we had a section on al-afu before, about pardoning. And Rasulullah sallallahu he says in a hadith in Sahih Muslim, ما نقصت صدقة من مال, that the donation does not diminish your wealth. وما زاد الله عبدا بعفو إلا عزا. Allah wouldn't increase a servant by pardoning except honor. Allah will increase him in might and honor. Allah will exalt the one who pardons. Unlike what we think, that if you pardon, you let him go away, they will walk over you all the way. Right? That's what we think. But the hadith says other than that. If you pardon, then you will be rising up, you will be elevated, and you will be mighty and honored. وَمَا تَوَاضَعَ أَحَدٌ لِلَّهِ إِلَّا رَفَعَهُ اللَّهُ. And no one humbles himself for Allah, before Allah, except that Allah will raise him up. Unlike what also people think, that if you deal with the people naturally, humbly, easy go, easy come, you are approachable, you are, then no, people will take it easy and might violate you. That's how some of us will think, and there are cases where you need to be somewhat reserved. That's okay, to protect your honor. That's okay, but then not in a way that you turn to become a tyrant. You turn to become someone people cannot even talk to you. They're scared of you, right? If they are having some sort of هيبة for you, fearful respect for you. They respect you so much. That is good. But if they are يعني, afraid of you because you're arrogant, you're not humble. The opposite of arrogance is humbleness. Arrogance, what is it? بطر الحق وغمط الناس. It is to reject the truth and to look down upon the people, to despise the people. And therefore, التواضع is opposite of that. It is to always accept the truth. That's a sign of humbleness. You accept the truth. You make something, you say something, it's wrong, you just take it back. Or you say, no, what was said is better than what I said. Right? Not to reject the truth, to accept it. And to not look down upon the people, to actually recognize the abilities and the achievements of the others. If you don't recognize that, you just see yourself, then you are arrogant. So from the most excellent deeds is al-afu, pardoning, and also being humble. Afu, pardoning, is the opposite of punishing, and tawadu', humbleness, is the opposite of being too proud or too arrogant. Last one is ad-diyafa. One of the most excellent deeds is honoring the guests, taking someone as a guest and honoring the guests. من كان يؤمن بالله واليوم الآخر فليكرم ضيفه. This hadith is agreed upon, متفق عليه, Bukhari and Muslim. And we did mention this before in the Islamic manners. We did talk about that, so I don't need to expand on this. So if someone is a guest, ضيف, then take care of your guests, honor them, because that is a sign of you believing in Allah and the last day. And we'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to benefit all of us from what we heard, to make us from a people who listen to a statement and follow the best of it. اللهم اقسم لنا من خشيتك ما تحول به بيننا وبين معصيتك، ومن طاعتك ما تبلغنا به جنتك، ومن اليقين ما تهون به علينا مصائب الدنيا. اللهم متعنا بأسماعنا وأبصارنا وقواتنا ما أحييتنا، واجعله الوارث منا، واجعل ثأرنا على من ظلمنا، وانصرنا على من عادانا، ولا تجعل مصيبتنا في ديننا، ولا تجعل الدنيا أكبر همنا، ولا مبلغ علمنا، ولا تسلط علينا من لا يرحمنا. آمين. وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون، وسلام على المرسلين، والحمد لله رب العالمين.